Big stream or big screen, cinema or sofa, where will you spend your time and money? For half of our number, the answer this week is nowhere.
Let's get ready to rumble!
My name is Tosin, and I am the host of Netflix vs. Cinema, the podcast that goes to the cinema every week, watches things, rates them out of five, stays at home, watches things, rates them out of five. And today I'm joined by just one colleague, as usual, and this is our London correspondent, Holly Neslane. Hello, Holly.
Hello.
Yes, just that because we have had our numbers have been whittled down because we've had Sean, who is well, literally at the World Cup. He is he is actually he was a World Cup. He was at the New Zealand Iran game, which would have been an interesting game to be in. I mean, apart from the football being good, there was also all kinds of protest going on about Iran versus America, Iran versus Iran, and Sean was somewhere in the middle of that. I did watch the TV and look for him in crowd shots, but I think it was making himself scarce. He will be back soon, and I guess Sharon's had to go sort out some stuff in family. Obviously, we'll let her explain it when she comes back if she wants to.
Yes, well, she's put it thoroughly on Facebook, so
Oh, she's pretty thoroughly on Facebook. All right, cool. So let's put it. If there's anybody on the Isle of Wight who sees a dog called Muffin or sees an appeal for sightings of a dog called Muffin, I'm not sure exactly what kind of dog he is,
the
but
Dachshund.
yeah, Dachshund around. Oh god, I forgot what the area is. But anyway,
Brown, and he was last seen. One moment. Uh, he has been seen around Gatcombe,
yep, yeah,
and
Gaku.
now recently near in Carisbrooke near the castle.
Yep, yeah, yeah.
So look out for a very very sweet but slightly panicked dog, and if you see him, do not try to call him. Just get in contact with whatever the people who deal with missing dogs are.
Oh, us, and we'll pass it on.
We will help.
Yeah, we hope. All right, so that's the reason why there's just the two of us this week. And with that, I was talking about Sean, like, our numbers being depleted partly because of the World Cup. It's a similar situation in cinema. That cinema has essentially people have gone, oh, there's that World Cup happening. No way in hell are we releasing a film then. And the only person, unless your name is Steven Spielberg, he's the only one who has decided, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to release a film during the World Cup. I don't care. Come at me. And so Disclosure Day is the only thing we have in cinemas. I think that might be the case even until next. Oh no, next week we'll have Toy Story 5 as well, because I have for Father's Day. It's Father's Day in the UK this weekend, and for Father's Day I've been asked what do I want, and I said I wanted the whole cinema to come to I wanted the whole family to come to the cinema with me, and so we are going to see Toy Story 5 as a Father's Day treat. So which is why the girls are currently watching Toy Story 2 to get ready because they haven't because they haven't seen them. I mean, I think if we watch a film a day, we'll catch up by the weekend. Um, yeah, so what we're going to do this week is, I mean, I think we have a backlog of things with the World Cup coming up. People haven't really been releasing things in cinemas, and because we always try to match it up and say one thing in cinema, one thing at home, we have a backlog of things that we have seen at home that we are going to bring forward this week, and we're going to say, okay, let's just see if we can clear up a backlog of things that we've seen at home. So if you're wondering who wins this week, Netflix or cinema, by default, Netflix, because that's the only thing we're talking about. So, let us kick. Oh, Holly, tell me what do you have on the backlog on the back burner that you've been wanting to speak about for the last couple of weeks? What nonsense have you filled your eyeballs with? I will explain that in a second.
So I will begin by caveating that one of my best friends, Jen, lives in the Caymans, and she and I don't get to see each other as much as we would like. So we have started watching films together, mostly terrible films. And so recently we have made it through Troll 2, the 1980s versions slash early 90s, not the more stylish modern ones, and Slaxx. And then more recently we have seen Master of the Universe.
Ooh, yeah.
And
Wait, but
the
wait.
Invitation, not
Are you
the
talking about
recent.
the 80s Masters of the
Yes,
Universe?
I am, and it's Master of
Oh,
the
okay.
Universe.
Because I was like, how do you watch that together? Because that's in cinemas right now. Okay, cool.
Yes, no, we have not. And Bird Apocalypse. which has to be mentioned very briefly because I can't remember that much of it.
Oh my God. I mean, Bird Apocalypse. All you need to say about Bird Apocalypse is go find a couple of clips of Bird Apocalypse on YouTube. You will not believe your eyes.
There are also surprisingly not that many birds in it.
It's like because I remember Bird Apocalypse. It was like somebody went, what if we took Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds and made it crap?
Yes, exactly that.
And it's like oh, we made it for 5p, but like made it really really bad. Like the birds effects in Bird Apocalypse are oh my God.
Have to be seen to be believed.
They have to be seen to be believed. They have to. All right, okay, cool. So let us go with things that I have seen, things that I have seen at home that I have been saying, oh, okay, I'll talk about this next. Oh no, we don't have enough. Oh no, we don't have enough space. We don't have enough space. I have seen this TV show that I've been imploring you to watch, Doc.
Yes, I
Doc.
need
I've
to.
seen the whole first season of Doc. I have seen all of season 5 of Hacks, and hang on a second. I can hear a child calling for me. I, it's like
Which
again.
one?
Equia. I closed the door and she doesn't like it. So I will let me go.
Go rescue child.
Yeah, I'll go rescue a child. I'm pretty sure there's way I could pause this, but nah. I'll
Now I'll
be back.
just sit here and talk to myself for a minute. We'll do some work.
Okay. Child has been satiated and shall not be ignored. So
Yes.
so I was saying, yeah, I was saying Hacks. So I've watched all of season 5 of Hacks. Oh, a child is coming over here.
Excellent. I will. I can pull faces and wave at her.
Yeah. So, Holly, have you seen any of Hacks?
No, I have not.
That
I
is
feel-
another show.
I
What was
have.
that?
I feel like I should, and I have written it on my post-it note.
Yeah, Hacks. And honestly, Hacks. You would love Hacks. You would love Hacks. I've also seen all of season 1 of Rooster,
Doing that one.
and I finished season 1 of Margot's Got Money Troubles on Apple TV. So I'm just gonna go zoom through some of these quickly. I'm gonna zoom through some of these quickly, and you can zoom through some of yours quickly. Yes, I know. Well done. So I'm gonna kick off with Hacks. So we have Hacks, and now the whole idea behind Hacks is that you have this female comedian. Yeah, but she has been there for ages. She's been there through the golden age of Hollywood and everything like that. She is probably in her 80s now. So think someone like Joan Rivers. There's quite a bit of.
What's that?
That's a microphone, okay? Think someone like Joan Rivers, right? Think someone like Joan Rivers. And so she's having a bit of a downturn in her career because obviously she's old, she's a woman, people are like, and then you also have like a young screenwriter and they share the same agent, and the agent puts them in touch with each other. He puts them in touch with each other, and this young screenwriter is queer. It's queer, pansexual. It's like, in her sort of like late 20s. And you can imagine how somebody who is like that in the late 20s comes up against someone who's in the 80s who has been around through decades of Hollywood and has had to sort of like do stuff to survive in that things. And her comedy is usually quite racist. It's like all that kind of stuff, but that's just what was done then. And all of the comedy and all of the drama from Hacks comes with these two characters called Ava. Ava is played by Hannah Einbinder, and Jean Smart plays. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm blanking on her name. Yeah, but Hacks. No. The main character is Deborah Vance. Oh, good Lord. I'm going to call that baby brain. Yeah, Deborah Vance. So Jean Smart plays Deborah Vance. And the main thing that comes out of the two of them, and just so like, the interplay between them. And they're surrounded by this crazy sort of like Hollywood / Las Vegas troupe of people that keep popping up. Okay, Equia. All right. Yeah, and like, and the story about, and I just think it's great. I think the writing is brilliant, and you know how it is when you have like a comedy ensemble, and it's just about the chemistry between the comedy ensemble, and there's just, and essentially you can get them, and the joy is about putting them in a situation, put them in a situation, doesn't matter, and seeing how they react to that situation. So I think that it's brilliant. This was the season 5 that I just saw, and it's the final season, so it's finally ended, and I have to say that this is one of those shows that ends brilliantly. It ends very well in a way that's very true to the characters, in a way that's kind of like, leaves all of them in a believable place. Not necessarily a happy place for everybody, because it leaves them in a place where you're kind of like, I can totally see how they could mess this up. It's like, so it's really good, and it's actually quite weird because there's 10 episodes in season 5, and at the end of season 9, I actually thought that was the end of Hacks altogether, because the way it ends, I was like, oh, okay, cool, that's the final episode. That's a brilliant place to end it. Then I switched onto my Now TV, and then I was like, oh, there's another episode. Oh, this is the final episode. So it's brilliant. I think it has a lot of stuff to say about Hollywood, the way it is nowadays. About it takes shots at a whole bunch of things about, like, sexism that has been in Hollywood, about all this different kinds of things, and especially through the character of Deborah, and Deborah figuring out how to exist in this new world. I think it's brilliant. I think it's great. Holly, I can't believe you haven't seen it, and I think you would love Hacks. So
It,
put on one episode tonight and see what happens, because the episodes are not that long. All right, cool. So that's my first one, Hacks. If I was going to give Hacks a rating, I would give Hacks a four and a half. It's a 4.5 out of 5 for season 5.
excellent.
All right, cool. So what are you bringing to the what's your first thing up of this tonight?
I am bringing to the table Slaxx.
you you've been trying to bring Slaxx in for a couple of weeks. This
I,
is your chance. Take it.
and that is because I love Slaxx. Slaxx, Slaxx, is a self-aware bad horror film about killer genes, as in the deadly ones. It begins with your awareness of this wonderful ethical brand of marvelousness, and then you realise that their manufacturing methods are not that ethical, and you have, you know, horrible underpaid, wage situations in India and all sorts of things. And Hugh transferring back to Canada, as it is a Canadian film, and we find that the main store of this company is closed and is under lockdown because they are launching their new brand, and they have some influencer who's going to be coming in and doing marvelous stuff. Except, unfortunately, it turns out that the new genes are not as you might think, and one of the members of staff breaks the rules about not touching any, not wearing, not stealing any of the products, and lo, she does so. And goodness me, well, that doesn't end well because the genes crush her to death, which isn't very nice. And then she is dead, and then other people end up wearing the jeans and also dying in new and interesting ways. At one point, it turns out that you have a whole series of pairs of jeans marching together, as you do. And they also really like Bollywood music, so you get a fair bit of dancing out of them as well. Again, it's somewhat more complicated than that, but we definitely have the dancing jeans, and it is worth watching, if only for the dancing jeans and the parade of jeans walking down the corridor together. And
Okay, okay,
the
Holly.
end.
I know I've been derogatory about this sort of bad movie track you've been on with your Cayman Island friend, but I'm beginning to get on board.
This needs watching. It is ridiculous, but it is a joy in its ridiculousness. It knows it is. It is self-aware. It's not trying to be good acting, but it does. The main character, I'm going to have to check who it is actually somebody of note. And as we know, my memory is abysmal. It's
We're getting to that age, Holly. We're getting to that age.
that age. Romaine Dennis, or Denis, who is in various things that I recognise. She was in Primate, amongst other things. And
But that
she's
was the killer chimpanzee film.
so I
Oh,
think things are on her list, and she's done various things in French as well. So yes, so her surname must be Denis, not Dennis. Yeah, Romain Denis. It's so much fun. It is completely ridiculous. You don't know who's going to make it out alive. It's and yeah, it's the genes that are killing people. And I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 because it is so madly enjoyable and completely unhinged. And it's not good, but it is completely worth the time because you will just sob with laughter.
madly enjoyable, totally unhinged, but totally worth your time. That is like when you talk about like a place in a like an event diagram. That's like some sort of sweet spot.
Yes. It gets the balance between the comedy, the horror, and the self-aware idiocy, and the fact that it is mocking celebrity culture and fast fashion
All
and
right.
the lies that are told around fast fashion. Who
Oh,
knew? It's got ethics and everything.
okay, cool. So that's you said 4 out of 5 for Slaxx.
Yes. Please
Four
note
out
that today my ratings are based on enjoyment rather than necessarily quality.
of. Yes, yes. I think that is a very well. That's a very apt public service announcement. I think. Oh yes. So based on enjoyment. All right, cool. Sorry,
What?
sorry, sorry. Kid yelling my name. It's my word. It,
Hey!
yeah, pretty much. There's a friend of mine who once when he had kids, he referred to kids as a mumu button, and mumu is a Nigerian term which means kind of idiot. I, and, he referred to his kids as a mumu button. Like for instance, when once your kids show up and they start saying blah blah blah, all of a sudden you lose the ability to do normal things like talk. Talk to other people because oh my god the kids say something, what are they doing, what are they climbing, what are they burning down?
About to say, has something been set fire to? Please tell me she hasn't figured out how matches work yet.
Well, I don't. Look. I feel like she is just one step away from figuring out how to light a match. I, I really feel
I can say
like
I,
she will. She's not gonna be.
I can see hands in the background. I can see her face in the
Yes,
background. Oh, my darling.
yes, yes. She has somehow got a scooter into my office. So this is like. Did you ever see the video clip of the guy who was on the news talking about North Korea and South Korea relationships, and then his kids come into the room while he's on the news with the BBC?
Yes.
Yes, and then his wife sort of runs and goes, ah! And you can see like this look of horror on her face as she dives on the floor. I can see her. She thinks she's out of shot, but she isn't, and she's trying to crawl along the floor to grab the kids to drag him out of the room. And I'm like, and this was all before the pandemic, so it was all before all these sort of Zoom mishaps happened. So that went properly viral. Yeah, anyway, I feel like I'm living that guy's life
I
at
feel
the
we
moment.
should we should probably point out here that this is basically now going to be a podcast of you and I having a catch up, given we've been friends for 25 years or so. Um, there's always a lot of nonsense to talk about as well. And
Yeah,
now,
yeah, there is, yes. So every now and then we might forget about the films, and for those of you who switch off, we apologize. Come back next week. Come back next week when some modicum of that. Well, I wouldn't say professionalism, but direction will be restored. Some modicum of direction will be restored. All right, cool. So the next thing I'm going to talk about Doc. I want to talk about Doc. So DOC, and this is a show that stars I said show really weird there. Show that stars Molly Parker, and Molly Parker is someone who I actually quite like. I first came across her in House of Cards. House of Cards, the American version, where she played Jackie Sharp, well, like a senator and everything. I thought, oh, this is really. I was like, who's this actress? I've never seen her before. And every now and then she pops up and stuff. And I'm like, hey, Molly Parker, her again. And in this one, she plays a character whose name I cannot remember. might actually be Margo, but she's a doctor, and she is in this. She's in like an acute medicine thing in a hospital. You get to find out that she's quite sort of like, she's really, really professional, but she's quite hard on the people around her. She's almost kind of like has sort of like an ice maiden thing. Then she's going home one day, is trying to talk on her phone, trying to pick up her phone, has a car accident, ends up back in the hospital, and it turns out that she has lost the last 8 years of her life. So she's lost the last 8 years of her life, and so that means that it turns out that a lot of stuff has happened in those 8 years that turned her into the person that she is, where she's kind of cold and she's kind of like away, and she's like the head of the department, and she's kind of like whatever happens, we must get things right, and stuff has happened to her in that past. And I think that this is the kind of show that I would have been quite disparaging about probably a year ago or something like that. But now I realize that shows like this, they have a place, because this show has no bad language in it. It has no nudity in it or anything like that. It does have love scenes and everything like that, but it's kind of like, so I'm like, oh my God, this is a show I can put on with my kids in the room. And all of a sudden, honestly, in this age of streaming, it has become increasingly difficult to find a show that you can put on TV with your kids in the room. The number of things I've had to be like, I am just weeks behind on because I've got small children. I can't watch that at 5 p.m. because there's kids in the room. I mean, it's even got to the point that if there's something on Netflix, I actually kind of, I preemptively don't watch it at that time, just in case, because you have to watch these things first and you have to know, because sometimes there have been some things where they said, I was watching something the other day, and this is going to be one of those tangents, but I was watching the Pharrell Williams documentary that's made all by Lego, and this is rated PG. It's rated PG on Sky Cinema and everything like that. So I thought, okay, it's Pharrell Williams, it's rated PG, it's done by Lego. I can watch this with my kids. Started watching it, and I was also kind of like, yeah, let's have a look at somebody who, like, especially the age my kids are now. Let's have a look at somebody who's black, who's done something great stuff, and let's see how he did it. And I was like watching this and everything like that, and there's some bits because of the people who are involved in it, like Snoop Dogg and everything like that, and it's hip hop, where they do have bad language, but they beep it out. But there's two very clear incidences where they say the S word and it's not beeped out, it's just left in there, and I'm like, what the? So essentially my point is that having something that I can watch with my kids in the room is thank you so much, Akuya, for actually demonstrating my point. It's like having something that I can watch with my kids in the room is actually quite key, but also something that you can watch. You can miss half the episode and still keep abreast of what's going on. And I think that this show is almost sort of like, is like genius level engineered to be that kind of show. You can watch it with one eye closed. You can watch it while you're distracted. You can watch it with kids in the room. And I'm like, oh my God, this show has a place. It has a total place. And I would have been, it's something I would have been quite sort of dismissive about. But anyway, the idea behind this show is that, like, she's lost 8 years of her life, and then every episode you kind of have like, it becomes like a house thing where you have a couple of different things in there, and like they're trying to figure out, okay, what's wrong with this person, what's wrong with that person, how do we figure this out, how do we stop them dying? And at the same time, they sort of like feed in the backstory that explains all the relationships between the different people in the hospital, different people in her lives, why. And I think it's actually really, really well done. The way it's sort of like drip feed stuff that could have been soapy. And actually, no, let me rephrase that. That is soapy. It is. It's totally soapy. The whole idea of okay. So obviously, like 8 years ago, in 8 years, there would have been different people she would have had a relationship with. That would have changed and everything like that. And then somehow they all happen to be in the same place at the same time. And I think that the way it actually drip feeds that and puts it all together, I think it's masterful. The way it brings everybody around to be like, yep, these people all are in the same place, and this is where all the drama is going to happen. And I was totally like, I'm all for this. I'm actually enjoying it. I can watch it, as I said, kids in the room, no worried about that. One eye open, being distracted. I can still catch up with what's going on, and it is masterfully made for that. So I would actually give Doc a 4 out of 5, because And I said, if you'd asked me a couple of years ago, I would probably have been quite disparaging about it. But now, I am eating humble pie. I'm saying there's a place for shows like this. Yes, thank you, Akuya, thank you, Akuya, for making Daddy humble and making Daddy realize that there's a place for shows like that. Look, it's Auntie Holly.
Hello, my darling.
All right, so that is Doc, 4 out of 5. All right, let's go back to Holly. Give me something else.
Okay, I'm actually going to do a sensible one that I'd forgotten I'd watched. I watched the Michael Jackson documentary.
Okay, yeah.
3 parts, Netflix. It is very interesting, quite bleak viewing, and I could talk about it quite succinctly because you know, most people know about it. But it's really about the investigation and trial of Michael Jackson for I don't know what the technical word would be, if it's paedophilia, sexual abuse of a minor / minors, and it goes back through all of the history of his quite public interactions with young teenage boys. It's very interesting. It's very bleak.
Yep.
It's worth watching, but you're not going to enjoy it. I don't think one should enjoy such things. So watch it for some bleakness and a bit of sadness about the state of the universe.
Well, you see now, and we had the similar thing because obviously the reason this documentary exists is because the film Michael exists, and so everybody has come out to sort of like get their pound of flesh, so to say.
Yes, and the family are not involved, so
Of course not. Of course not. And I think this is the problem I find with Michael Jackson. The problem I find with Michael Jackson is that I feel like anything that is made about Michael Jackson, you bring your own baggage to it. So first things is like whenever they say there's a new Michael Jackson thing, because there's a Michael Jackson thing on the BBC, there's a Michael Jackson thing on Netflix, there's the Michael Jackson film in cinemas, which is still in cinemas and it's still raking in loads of money. And I feel like it is a case of, I think it is almost impossible to be objective about Michael Jackson. Everybody shows up. So whenever I hear that, somebody has made a Michael Jackson film, documentary, blah, 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 I want to know, okay, who made it? I want to know who made it, because that would tell me a lot about what angle we're going to, whether it's going to be, we should be annoyed about this, or whether it should be, leave the man alone. And
I'd say this has kindness to it, but it certainly makes you think, yeah, he's guilty as ... was guilty as ... using profanities when not using profanities when a small child might still be in earshot.
Thank you very much. This is just like watching Doc.
Yes, exactly. My pleasure. I appreciate that you can bleep out things generally, but it's harder when little ears are there. Yeah, it's, I'd say, context and everything else, but it's not unkind. It doesn't do as much as one would like about the childhood experiences that have clearly led to his character.
Well, yeah, I think I think it's, yeah. So how many? I think I'll probably just go with how many stars would you give it, because I feel like
I think I'm going to give it a 3.5. Yeah, 3.5.
yes. Anyway, yeah. So 3.5, yeah, because with Michael Jackson, I feel like it's one of those things where, I mean, I think I said it when I reviewed the film. I just thought the explanation for Michael Jackson that made the most sense to me was one that Carrie Fisher wrote in one of her books. She had 2 books, like I think she had Postcards from the Edge. No, that's a novel. And she also wrote The Princess Diarist, which was just memoirs and stuff like that. She had 2 memoirs, and I read both of them. And actually, Carrie Fisher was a very good writer. She could write about things in especially stuff that she had experienced and everything like that, but write about them in a very, very funny way that made you just sort of like, we talk about people having traumatic childhoods that made you laugh out loud.
she and I both have bipolar disorder. Or she had.
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
Quite a, so I always feel a particular fondness.
You ever read any of her books?
I haven't, though I must. I will add them to my order list.
Yeah, I think there was one because one of them was because one of them is about when she found electroshock therapy and how much she found that actually helped her. And I was just kind of like, okay. She was like, yeah, no, it sounds a bit weird, but it worked for me. And she said that, or like she said, she married Michael Jackson, like a little bit. Yeah, and she said that her take on it was that Michael Jackson was asexual, and I was kind of like, you know, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense to me when the way I look at the way he wasn't like the guy just did not seem to know what a feeling that kind of feeling was anyway. Like I remember there was one thing I saw when he was married to Lisa Marie Presley, and there was a bit of some MTV Video Awards or something like that where they kiss on stage, and it is the most awkward thing ever. It's kind of like it is so weird. But anyway, yes. But anyway, okay. So 3 out of 5 stars for the
What, 3.5?
Michael Jackson documentary on Netflix.
Yes,
3.5. 3.5. All right.
3.5.
And okay, so I guess back to me. What else am I going to talk about that I don't want to burn before? Because, okay, Margot's got money troubles. This is the last thing I'm going to talk about this week, but Margot's got money troubles. Now, this is on Apple TV. It stars Elle Fanning. First of all, I'll just get the cast in this thing is amazing. You've got Elle Fanning, you've got Nick Offerman, you've got Michelle Pfeiffer, you've got Greg Kinnear, and it is just like I think this is a really really good show. It's based on a book by the same name, and the whole idea is that you meet Margot at the beginning, and Margot is in a community college, so doesn't have enough money to go to university. She's in a community college. She wants to be a writer, and she has a professor, and the professor is kind of like, you're actually really really good, and compliments her about writing and everything like that. One thing leads to another, and next thing you know, there's a montage of them having an affair all over the place. Then she falls pregnant. She falls pregnant, and she talks to him. He doesn't want to know about anything about it because, wouldn't you know, he's married with kids. And the thing is, the professor is played just to tell you about you were talking about not being able to remember things and that being a sign that we're getting old and everything like that. The professor is played by somebody who I know primarily, and I think of primarily as a child actor. And it is his. I'm gonna try to get his name right. It's like, yes, Michael Aganarano. Michael Aganarano. He was in Sky High as a kid, and he has quite a bit of a baby face. So I always think of him as a kid, and I'm like, hang on, he's playing a professor with kids who's getting a student pregnant, and the age gap is a problem. As in, this is inappropriate. I'm like, oh my god, what happened? Where did the time go? And so she ends up needing to make money. She ends up needing to make money. Her mom used to be a waitress at Hooters, played by Michelle Pfeiffer. Her dad used to be a pro wrestler, played by Nick Offerman. And it is just this is one of those things I was saying about Hacks. You get the ensemble together and you let them play. But what she starts doing to make money ends meet is what everybody apparently does nowadays is start an OnlyFans channel. She starts an OnlyFans channel, and then it's all about what happens with that. How does that go into her family? What difference is there between her doing OnlyFans and her mom working at Hooters? All that kind of stuff. And it's one of those shows, a little bit like when we saw Madam on Netflix a while back, that I think it seeks to destigmatize. First and foremost, it seeks to destigmatize sex work. And so like, oh, what? Anybody, this is just a job. Anybody could do this. Anybody who does that. You would do this too to make ends meet and all that. And it's that argument. I mean, is it will have, depending on who you are, it will have either greater or lesser mileage. that argument about as to whether that argument holds water or anything like that. But what I will say is that the cast that they put together are brilliant. There's one particular scene that is just, it's Greg Kinnear, Michelle Pfeiffer, Nick Offerman, and Elle Fanning, and it's just them sat around the table, and the way they play that scene, putting up against you're just watching and going, okay, now these are world class people. These are people who this is like seeing like a boxing match, like a heavyweight boxing match. Just the way they do it and the little nuances of each of the different characters and the way that you can tell what's going on and you can tell that gives you insight to that character and then what that look just tells you what this one's feeling. I'm just kind of like, this is amazing. This is a great scene. So Margot's Got Money Troubles, I would totally recommend. The way it ends, I mean, apparently it covers the entire story of the book. So I'm guessing that it ends in a similar way to the way the book ends. But they've already said there's a second season coming. They're going to make a second season of this show, which is going to go past the end of the book. But this is one of those rare occasions where I'm like, well, if the TV show ended the way the book ended, I would have felt a little bit shortchanged by the time I got to the end of the book.
Okay.
So yeah. But also talking about people who you knew as kids, as kid actors, because Elle Fanning puts in, I guess, what they would call, you know how it is whenever they say, in Oscar speak, if a woman is up for an Oscar and they say she puts in a brave performance, you know that means she takes her clothes off. It's one of those things. I've noticed that a while. They're like, oh, it's a very brave performance. I'm like, okay, she gets naked. That's what it means. And especially seeing, and you might have problems watching Margot's Got Money Troubles because if, like me, you first experienced Elle Fanning as a child actor, along with her daughter, with her sister Dakota Fanning, there's a lot of not glamorizing because obviously it's about OnlyFans and all that. There's a lot of nudity that isn't like glamorized, it isn't like also of like ogling or anything like that. It's very matter of fact, but still, it is somebody who in your head is a child being naked on screen.
You see, but have you watched The Great?
I have not watched The Great, no.
That gives you a sort of a transition point. The
Well,
Great
yeah,
is very funny and involves a lot of yelling huzzah and throwing wine everywhere.
yeah. I figured that would be in The Great, but I figured that The Great, what didn't go, it might have been raunchy, but not nudity.
Yeah, raunchy, not nudity. But because of that, it means you've got a sort of progression.
Progression. Well, things I've seen her in like grown up stuff. I've seen her play like adults and everything like that. But it's kind of like, but there's just something that shifts in your mind where you have to be like, oh my god,
Right.
oh my god.
You're eight. You're eight.
Exactly, exactly. It's like you're 8. What do you mean you have a kid? And I'm like,
Deal with this. Can't deal with this. It's too
yeah,
much.
and it's yeah. So, but Margot's Got Money Troubles. That's another 4.5 for me. I think it's great. I think Nick Offerman is brilliant as Jinx in this. He is, and the relationship that he has with her, because the storyline is that with him, he was an absent father because when he was a kid, I mean no, because when she was a kid, he actually had another family. Her and her mum were the other family. Yeah. Yeah, where he and her and her mum were the other family, and so he would show up every now and then and all that kind of. And this is like, so it's almost as if he gets a second chance now with his grandson, but he's coming off substance abuse issues and all that. And it's just, I think it's so well sketched. It's so well sketched. I would recommend Margot's Got Money Troubles. I'd say go watch that.
On my list.
Yes. And now, so what would you say? What are you bringing to us to round us off today?
I am doing a double bill here because I feel that it's do them all in one. I'm doing Troll and Troll 2. I should add that the first one is better than the second one. The first one involves
A 1980s sequel, better than not as good as the first one. Surprise.
1991, I believe, sequel.
91.
I think the first one was 98, possibly 96, and they are only very loosely connected, mostly by title. First one involves family moving into apartment in apartment block. Things very strange. Child finds some sort of jewellery thing, becomes possessed / taken over by a troll, and they are clearly it and its pals are on a mission to take over everything, and lo, idiotic things happen, and there are visions of running through the woods somewhere, and old people who know stuff about things, and young people who don't know stuff about things, and mysterious forests growing in living rooms.
Yeah.
Stuff. It all begins in the basement laundry, which I find so weird. It's a very not British thing. Basement laundry.
It is very American.
So I just always look at it and go, "What? I don't understand. Never mind." Um, and madness ensues, and there are trolls, and they are,
It would be a bit of a disappointment if the film was called that and they weren't.
I mean, I'm not sure that it would have made it either better or worse. It is ridiculous. There are, yeah, small angry creatures trying to take over the world by dominating an apartment block. Small, kind of, vintagey. And then we move some years later into Troll 2, which has almost nothing to do with Troll 1 and involves a family going off for some sort of holiday slash house swap in somewhere random, and the daughter's boyfriend, for entirely incomprehensible reasons, and his friends head off to the same place in a caravan slash camper van. And the place that they're going has a lot of food that has a neon green tint, and the neon green food is to turn people into trolls, I think. But I'm not entirely clear, and I think it comes from plants, but it's quite difficult to tell because it doesn't make any sense. And it is listed as one of the worst films ever made, and actually may even be worse than Neil Breen films. And as we have established, Neil Breen films are a source of fascination, confusion, and horror at the poor quality of every single element of them. This may be worse. So I would absolutely not recommend it unless you want to just spend an hour and some minutes being confused. And I realise I should probably also have gone with Bird Apocalypse, which you're going to have to allow me 1 minute to explain. Just the one.
Okay, but I'll say one thing though. One thing. When you were talking about this with Troll and Troll 2, this is also something that happened a lot in the 80s or 80s, 90s, whatever. Yeah, that's sort of like in between bit, and where they made.
Right,
Where,
there were elements of Jim Henson feels to Troll
yeah,
2.
yeah, yeah. But not even that. It's the fact that once you said that, I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure this is what happened. They were making a film, and then somebody went, "Well, that film has a following. We're just gonna say that this film is number two." And even though because apparently Troll 2 was originally it was being produced under the title Goblins. It was supposed to be a totally different film.
Better title, more appropriate.
Yeah, because yeah, and I figured yeah, well, that's essentially that's. But what happened is like somebody decided we're gonna call it Troll 2, a bit like Mean Girls 2, Mean Girls 2, which has nothing to do with Mean Girls, but somebody decided, oh, we're making a film. Oh, that film's there. Oh yeah, and they just slapped Mean Girls 2 on it because they were trying to be opportunistic and make a buck. And I think that's what happened here. And apparently there's also Troll 3, but but get this, Troll 3. There are two films that have the title Troll 3
I'm
that
going to be watching both of these.
that both have nothing to do with Troll with the first one. But
Do they have anything to do with Troll 2?
no, there's
Fantastic.
essentially the film Creepers, also known as Contamination.7 or The Crawlers, and another film called The Quest for the Mighty Sword, also known as Ato 4, Ato 3, The Hobgoblin or Hobgoblins, both adapted the name Troll 3 at some point as an alternate title.
Oh, that's
Despite
right.
neither having a plot relation to the previous two Troll films.
I'm so watching these, they sound frightful.
And it's essentially people going. It's essentially people going. That's a recognizable title. We'll call it that. Yeah. And
Why the devil not?
apparently, you're talking about like do not despise the day of small beginnings. The first Troll movie has Julia Louis Dreyfus in it.
Mm, it does. And it's completely bizarre.
Oh, good God, good God! All
And
right.
recognisable as herself.
Wow. Oh
Now,
wow.
I'm giving you the 1.5 minute summary of,
Okay,
well,
but first of all, Troll and Troll 2. How many stars are you gonna give these things?
two. The
And
enjoyment
also, but
is not
I'll tell you what, right? If you and Cayman Island friend, right? Whose name I keep forgetting?
Jen.
I knew it started with a J. I will ask this same question again next week. You guys you should now that you've seen Troll and Troll 2, you should actually go see the Norwegian Troll and
I
Troll
haven't
2
seen
on
that. I
Netflix.
haven't seen Troll 2, so
Yeah,
that's on my list of things to
you
watch.
should go see the
So,
Norwegian one because they came up with the whole folklore. It's only right that they claim it back. All right, cool. So, Bird Apocalypse, go.
I can tell you almost absolutely nothing about it. There are some people, there is a town, nothing happens. Then there are some birds, and I don't know why there are birds, and they're superimposed in front of everybody, and they are
Oh
probably
God.
not necessarily, and they are there for maybe no more than 10 or 15 minutes of the film for reasons other than possibly to give it a title. I don't know what the point of it was. I have no idea what happened. It was kind of meant to be like The Birds, maybe, except The Birds is a complicated film, which I don't think is nearly as good or as scary as the book, which is written by Daphne du Maurier, and
Yep.
everybody should read because it is much more sinister than the film. Um, I don't know why anybody made it. It makes so little sense. It is honestly one of the most stupid things I've ever seen. It makes Monsternado look good and well acted. And I refer you at this point to a previous episode where I reviewed Monsternado in a very, very short period of time where I summarised the entire film. It makes more sense. And a film that had a man standing on a car admitting to something or other, and then a shark jumped over the car and ate him. That is more logical than Bird Apocalypse. So do with that what you will.
Yes, I think Bird Apocalypse. There's a real strong vibe of like sort of like 90s sci-fi channel film about it. But
Yes, you can bleep me out here, but it is complete and utter shit.
yeah, but the thing is like those were bad. Those were bad. But it seems like Bird Apocalypse said, okay, we can go one lower. But there's
Yeah.
also a little bit of there's also a little bit of there's something I admire about Bird Apocalypse and the people who made Bird Apocalypse. And it's just the whole idea of we want to make a film and we don't care if we don't have resources. We don't care if we don't have ideas. We don't care if we're bad at it. By Jove, we are going to make a film.
I
And
mean, it is Neil Breen-esque in that. The
yeah,
man who I reviewed recently who funds his own terribly made, acted, produced, edited films by being a Las Vegas realtor.
yeah,
It's kind of makes his films look good,
yeah.
and they are probably the worst things I've ever seen.
Yeah, the thing is, no, Bird Apocalypse. There's no getting away from it that it's a pile of steaming cack. It's rubbish.
And that's
It
being
was
generous.
yeah, yeah. Seeing as it's Bird Apocalypse, I'll say it's a pile of steaming guano. But it's like, but it's yeah, it's terrible. But at the same time, as I said, there is something about the 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 courage to make something that is obviously bad and put it out into the world and say this is what I've made anyway that I kind of admire and I feel like I could learn something from because I'm pretty sure I could make better stuff, but at the same time I don't have that sense of that sense of, and I don't know whether it's entitlement or just this grandiosity, delusion. I don't know what it is to go out there and say, I'm going to make this and everybody's going to want to see it.
You're going to have to watch Fateful Findings, the terrible Neil Breen film. It is very
I
important.
don't think I want to.
No, you
I
need
don't-
to, because you need to be able to compare and contrast with Bird Apocalypse. And it will bring you a certain amount of total confusion. And everybody needs that moment of, what? In their lives.
Okay, I'll tell you what I can do. I've only seen clips of Bird Apocalypse online. I can go and find clips. I can go and find clips of Neil Breen stuff online, and that should do me.
No, I feel you should watch all of Fateful Findings, which is actually child safe. I mean, there is nudity, but it's back view only and feet. Um, yeah, he likes carpet. I don't know why. I
All
can't.
right, cool. Anyway, I think we've come to the end of our rambles. End of a ramble. In possibly the most rambly episode that we've ever done. We blame the World Cup for taking away the films and taking away Sean and okay, we can't really blame Muffin, but if anybody does find a small dachshund that responds to the name Muffin on the Isle of Wight somewhere around Carisbrooke Castle, please do get in touch so we can hand him back to Sharon and her family.
They
But
provide structure, it turns out, and if you leave the two of us by ourselves, we go off down mad rabbit holes and adult supervision.
I think we would have been all right if there was something in the cinema that, if there was
Yeah,
something else in the
probably
cinema.
better.
But I
I
do
mean,
know Sharon has seen Disclosure Day. Sean has seen Disclosure Day. And by next week, I'm hoping you will have seen Disclosure Day so we can all have a Disclosure Day discussion
I will
about.
find a way of doing it. I don't know what the way will be, but I will work it out.
All right, cool. Good stuff. But until next week, when we shall have Disclosure Day and Toy Story 5 to talk about, yep, it's a goodbye from me.
And a goodbye from me.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, we need adult supervision.